Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webcast, Building a Media Analytics Solution with Looker and MemSQL. My name is Jennifer and I will be your moderator today. Before we begin, there are a few housekeeping items I'd like to review. This webcast is being recorded and you are currently in a listen-only mode. You may submit any questions you have throughout the webcast via the Q&A or chat function in the lower right corner of your console. You can also follow MemSQL on Twitter at MemSQL, Collective at Collective Tech, Looker at Looker Data, or live tweet us during the webinar using hashtag MemSQLWebcast. We will address everyone's questions towards the end of today's presentation. After the webcast, you will receive a follow-up email with a link to the recording and slides. If you wish to contact us, please send us an email at team@memsql.com. So let's begin today's webcast, Building a Media Analytics Solution with Looker and MemSQL. I'd like to introduce today's speakers. Today we have Garrett Gladden. Garrett is a Director of Product Management with Collective. He is a specialist in building data products, UX, roadmaps, business plans, and leading organizations towards achievable product goals. When he is not nerding out on data, he can be found in the classroom at OSU Cascades teaching human-computer interaction. Welcome, Garrett. Erin Franz is a Technology Alliances Manager with Looker. She works with Looker's ecosystem of technology partners, where she focuses on partner technical integration and enablement. Prior to Looker, Erin worked in analytics at Accenture, where she helped build out big data solutions. Welcome, Erin. Mike Boyarsky is the Senior Director of Product Marketing with MemSQL. He has over 15 years experience working with database and business intelligence technologies with expertise in real-time analytics solutions deployed at some of the world's leading organizations. Thank you guys for joining us today. Mike, you have the floor.
Awesome, thanks Jen, and thanks everybody for attending today. We've got a jam-packed session, lots of good information. So we're gonna get into highlighting a little bit of the context about some of the solution set that we're talking about here, which is really a media analytics solution that really focuses around how to identify, respond to conditions for your content delivery and media content information. So first things first is that this is really based on a lot of what we're seeing from an industry perspective, what's happening in the marketplace around growth and media content. There's more and more organizations that are getting into delivery of media, so you don't actually have to be a media company to be in the media delivery business. A lot of this type of content is usually on demand, it's always on, and that means you have to have a system that can adapt to the changing conditions, whether that's the network, whether that's the user interaction layer. There's lots of changing parts to delivering a superior experience of media content, and that's a lot around being agile and adaptive to those changing environments. And lastly, the importance of customer experience. We're seeing more and more initiatives around spending time and effort, making the customer experience paramount to the service. And that's something that requires an always-on, highly available, and also highly analytical environment. So as we look at some of the digital transformation drivers, there's a lot to be said for, of course, the, the customer experience. Customer experience is becoming, because most of this material and content is, again, it's very rich. There's a lot of technology parts between the content itself and the end user's device that makes this experience really very important. And it's also important to monitor and analyze that. Also optimizing the cost. This is something where a lot of organizations cannot simply throw hardware, throw technology at solving the problem without focusing on ultimately the bottom line, which is delivering some level of optimization and margin relief so that you can build a successful business. And lastly, it's also doing interesting activities around serving different types of media content or analytic services that can drive incremental revenue to your business. And so this is actually a scenario that today's company at Collective is able to drive incremental revenue using analytics as a value-added service. In terms of the new demands of digital, and this is really across industry, it's around building a more agile product service. So this is the ability to respond again to those changing conditions that are happening all the time, whether it's at different types of devices, different types of networks, or the content itself. And we are seeing more and more that organizations that are not data-driven, maybe they were not originators of the sort of on-demand world, they are moving towards being more digitized and more insight-led. And this puts a huge priority on enabling the enterprise to be more self-service so that they can get the insights they need when they need it, not just internally, but also for their customers as well as their partners. And because of the growth and the sort of accessibility of data, we're seeing the demands for new types of data platforms that can respond to just the growing volumes of information available. And lastly, there has to be a tie or a path to the cloud for many of these organizations that are going through digital transformation. This is the future platform, and many organizations may be in a path towards that dynamic. And so this is an attribute that's really important for delivering new class of analytic solutions. So that's a little bit of context for setting today's discussion. I'm now going to hand it off to Garrett, and he's going to talk about how they at Collective built a real-time analytics stack for their media content delivery network. So Garrett, why don't you take it away?
Thank you so much, Mike. Yeah, so what Mike was saying is exactly what we were seeing with our customer base. So, we service a lot of large organizations, primarily financial organizations, who are change is not their favorite thing in the world to participate in, but they know that they have to get on this wave where things are being expected, if not real time, then near real time, and that insights have to be a daily effort, weekly, monthly, and the ability to have that on demand is certainly growing there. And in addition with that, needing the insights sort of at a moment's notice, what we're also seeing is that we're riding this wave of the digital transformation in these massive companies, in that they're trying to change the way that they communicate with each other. And one of those things is using video and content, and getting content out across, say, 50,000 offices across the globe is sometimes a bear of an effort unless you have the right tooling behind it. So I'm going to kind of jump into our analytics and the approach and the data that's behind that, and kind of how we value three things. Measurements, which is we have to have the different data points to even start delivering any sort of valuable insights and data. Then we have to have metrics, to where we're saying 0 is more meaningful than 50, or 10 is more meaningful than 20. So putting the metrics on top of what we're measuring. And then finally, the most important part is delivering the meaning behind those measurements and metrics. And so we're going to walk through kind of the choices that we were facing, what we ended up going with, and then we'll jump into kind of a little demo of why we think this stack, this nice sort of synergy between the real-time ability to gather data, really fast pushing movement of data with MemSQL, being able to service our clients, and the customizability and the dashboard building and the intelligence with Looker, and then of course our large data set. So let's dive in. All right, so first of all, what do we do? At the heart of our product line is what's called an eCDN. So you probably know what a CDN is, a content delivery network. We put an E in front of that, and we say that's an enterprise CDN. So that just means that it's in a private network, and generally is for very large scale content delivery. So then on top of that, we have software that actually delivers content. So whether that's you need to push out a packet of software to 50,000 terminals in a network, or you're having a town hall event and you need to have high def 1080p video streaming to all of your offices across the world. So we make that software that sits on top of that. So distribution of the content delivery mechanisms, and then on top of all of that, there's analytics and data, and that's where when I say what do, we create data, a lot of data. That's each of these steps is generating just a massive amount, and so following through that and making something meaningful out of it is what we have to be able to do if we're going to satisfy our clients and give them this ability to be flexible, to be nimble, to make business decisions with the data from their systems. All right, so where was our data, and why did finding a really good data storage solution matter so much to us? So this is a little bit techie, and it's kind of meant to be, the fact that we have a ton of different sources of data and its data types, from JSON to grid servers and directory servers and bin logs, and all of that is flowing in, and we're organizing that, and we're of course dealing with GDPR over in Europe and privacy stuff. We have to do some really sophisticated obfuscation, and then we need to put all of these streams of data somewhere that makes it easy for us to deliver that as insights to our clients. So our data was dispersed. And that's kind of how you have to think about it these days, is that your data is not going to come from usually one single source. You're going to want to try to develop insights around the data from all kinds of different sources, and having a system that's flexible, nimble enough to do that was one of our chief needs. So we had this in a lot of different places. Then on top of that, what were our clients asking for? So if we know that we're generating all of this data, we know that we have a ton of places to go get that data from. What did the clients actually want out of that data? And they wanted a couple really specific things. And I organized this into 3 buckets in terms of the initiatives and the requirements that we're gathering. So one of it is they just want smarter networks. So, since we're an ECDN, they want to know kind of how that network is performing at pushing out content across there. So what are the types of analytics and data that will give them consistent feedback? This is where, when Mike was talking about that need to have that real time, you don't need to know that there's a problem in your network after the town hall occurs. You need to know that prior to the town hall occurring. It's where the CEO is up in front of everybody and then learns that the office in Bangalore actually didn't even see it. So you need to know that beforehand. So consistent feedback and consistent intelligence that's daily, weekly, monthly. And then they wanted scorecards and dashboards that were simple, that gave them just the metrics that kind of mattered at that moment. So things like post-event scorecards and simple set of dashboards that they can start their data exploration from. So we know that they're going to have their own specific metrics that, maybe it's what the success criteria is for an event. And we want to be able to give them the ability to create those dashboards themselves as well, which is why Looker is so useful for us. But we wanted to be able to create a really rich set of dashboards since we understand the data and give them awesome starting points. And so that was a consistent ask. Then finally, baselines and averages, which this really gets into our modeling of data and some of our machine learning that we apply to the data that's coming in. And so a lot of times our clients are asking, am I above or below average, both for network performance, for content performance, for event performance, for whatever's occurring over the wire here? Are we doing well? Or are we not doing well? And why is that? And so by aggregating mass amounts of data in some really large data tables, and then regressively going through that and baselining that and averaging that and seeing what the spikes and seasonality and trending is there, we can develop some really nice models for them to say how they're doing in relation to where they should be or what they could be doing. And so those are the 3 main buckets. So we know A, producing a lot of data, B, ton of different sources, C, clients are wanting some pretty specific things. And this is what we had. So a while ago, we had basically a reporting tool. And this reporting tool was simply that. It wasn't analytics, it was reporting. It was just a retrospective on specific events that had occurred. So it was slow, It was inflexible. If you wanted to get a new dashboard, go ahead and submit that ticket in Jira. We'll get back to you in 6 months. When we hire a new team of Java programmers, our current programmers are maxed out, then we'll get back to you. Maybe that, it's on the roadmap. It's in Sprint 3000. And then it's getting slower. It was static. There was no sort of real time. If you're running an event and you want to kind of check in progress, sorry, this is going to be just an at the moment look. And then finally, it was slow. And then there was obviously poor UX. And again, it was slow. So if you went in and kind of set any parameters onto this data, a lot of your experience with our analytics was waiting around. And so this was something that wasn't satisfactory to us, wasn't satisfactory to our clients. And so that's what pushed us to looking at how to build a really nice stack. So we knew that we had to go out there, and we knew that we needed to solve this problem, both for ourselves, if we want to stay relevant as a company, and that data matters so much to our clients in terms of proving out the value of the work that they're doing, and also the spend that they're incurring with us. So we needed to make some good decisions. And here's what we needed. We needed flexibility. We needed speed. We needed the ability to scale this fairly quick. So this was at a time when Collective was rapidly onboarding new clients. So this digital transformation wave, we are certainly riding that wave in terms of how companies, especially large companies, communicate and push things across the wire. So we need to be able to have a one-to-many relationship with these companies that need this data. So we need to have a platform that scales up, that we can have N number of clients consistently logging in, hitting this, generating views, running queries against what we have. We needed customizability. So our customer set expects a level of customizability to their data and metrics so that it works for them, so that they're tracking their KPIs, not the KPIs of another organization, or what we're telling them their KPIs need to be. Some of these companies are incredibly sophisticated and nuanced financial firms, tech firms, et cetera. And then finally, we had to have a great user experience. I personally was tired of not having an engaging, rich experience where they felt satisfied and better off for having used our platform than prior. So those were kind of the baselines of the requirements that we were looking for. And so these are probably fairly familiar to a lot of you out there. We looked at a number of different things, and we're still using a lot of these, especially on the data science side, and that being able to model data. And I think you guys saw Apache Kafka in there. We're still using a lot of these things to ingest data, to organize data, and to sometimes throw schema on top of data and model it and prototype. And then we know that we needed something, wherever that data ended up, when we were looking and looking and looking, we needed something that would be able to deliver it back to us, both store it and deliver it back fast. So speed, both for scaling, for user experience, we knew that that's what we needed to do. And so we were looking at all of the sort of the best of breed solutions, and based on our client set, we knew that that's what we needed to bring to market. So it became pretty apparent after we did a lot of due diligence. And in my background, I've worked with some of the other really large names out there for both data storage as well as front-end analytics, dashboarding, et cetera, and BI tools. And this was really the best solution that we had to solve that problem that I just walked us through. And so MemSQL was obvious to us after we did a lot of research in that we needed that really rapid return of data, especially on really large data sets. So if you looked at all of those different sources of data, those are generating a lot of data, not just daily or weekly. Each one of those sources, a lot of times, if you're looking at a directory server in the bin logs, those are delivering data by the second and sometimes millisecond. So somewhere where we can pipe data in incredibly rapid pace and then read that back and get that into a front end. So so MemSQL solves that for us. And then finally, we needed on the other side, we needed a way to view that data, explore that data, create dashboards, those scorecards on that data, to be able to develop a model and then write that model in a really pretty fantastic and elegant code and deliver that back so that we are able to move our data science into the front end, the machine learning, and deliver really critical insights to our clients. That's what we needed to do. And so Looker was a great fit for us there. All right, so what? Well, let's just take a quick look. I think that pictures speak for themselves. We went from what's on the left to what's on the right. I don't think that you have to stretch yourself too much to see that we improved in a very short amount of time. That's like maybe the best part of this is we didn't have to go out and hire a team of 15 devs or offshore and nearshore to try to bring this to market in a quick way. Really, the onboarding process for both of these tools was actually fairly painless and rapid. And so to be able to offer our clients this on the left, kind of our legacy dashboard, and then a few months later, after we made our choices and we partnered with MemSQL and Looker, we were able to bring to market something that told a much better story, that got to the heart of what they were wanting to know in a much more usable, a much more flexible, a much quicker way. We had one of our KPIs for the choices that we were making was we wanted under 10 seconds to run almost every single query. And so and this was massive queries. And so we were down to like sometimes 1 second, half a second, 3 seconds to run queries. And so that was one of our favorite things was going from sometimes, for a large query in our old legacy platform, sometimes waiting upwards of 45 seconds for a large query to run and deliver something back to the front end interface, to getting down under 10 seconds. And a lot of times we're in the 1 to 3 seconds for returns of data. And so that was a huge win for us. And I think speaks to the elegance of how you can go about building some fairly modern dashboards on top of really large data sets. And what did our clients get out of this? Well, they got smarter networks. You're able to see, these fairly complex network metrics. How our network's performing? How many gigabytes are we saving by running it through the ECDN? What's our peering efficiency with all of the nodes in our network not collecting data from a central server and bogging everybody down, but then sharing the data with each other. So we were able to really give these really nice sort of network topology, these overviews in the new dashboards. We were able to create those scorecards. So those post-event scorecards, now we have in progress live event scorecarding that shows, if some buffering is happening somewhere, if a certain office all of a sudden is disconnected, that a help desk that's running an event or town hall real time, getting video out over the wire, you kind of see where those hot spots are and respond in real time to those. Then we have a ton of great new dashboards that our clients can have a great jumping off point into their own data. And then finally, we're able to give baselines and averages now and give the ability to kind of see how am I doing, am I above, below average, and why is that? So we were able to deliver back to them what they wanted. So a few things that we're looking at moving forward, and I'll jump into a quick demo here in a second. I'll just build something really quick that I'm kind of interested in as a product guy. But basically, we want to model network and content trends. And so we have like these network summaries where we're seeing like, there's almost 7,500 agents in this network, and an agent basically means that's a node in the network, that's a terminal, it might be a laptop, it might be a phone, but it's somebody that's receiving data across this network and connected to this company's private network. You can see there's 23,000 deliveries. You see the gigabytes, how many gigabytes have been saved so far. That's fairly significant, what their peering efficiency is. And then we get to do like deliveries over time. We get to look at the views on top of that. So if somebody is interested in their live events, how are my live events doing? We're able to quickly get the metrics that they care about across the top. So if you need to deliver kind of a high-level report to your management and you run events, we've got you covered. And so again, this is sort of the flexibility of being able to build these things sort of in situ as needed by the clients was a huge win for us. And we're just getting better and better. And I think that the way that Looker and MemSQL work is we're able to get things to market really fast. And so that brings us to like, so we know that we had a ton of stuff to measure. So just lots of data that's coming in that we have to, you know, is it large? Is it small amounts of data? How close to the intent of the client was that data? All these things to measure. And then finally delivering some metrics, which is putting boundaries of, you know, 10 is better than 20 or 30, being able to say that this is more meaningful. Then finally, that true meaning or relevance part is where we get to recency and relevance. So our goal is still to hit this sweet spot for our clients, which is data when you need it. So the recency of data, which is, you know, kind of what Mike was saying, is as a general trend, the demand to have data in near real time makes it so that data is much more actionable, because you can depend on the veracity of the data because it's coming in every day, sometimes by the second, and so you know that that's the freshest data, that's the best source of data that you can use to make a decision. And then finally, relevance, which means that the data is where you need it, so when you need it and where you need it, and that gets us to our sweet spot. And so one of the nice things that we've really been pushing lately, so the first thing was just to stand this up in terms of the roadmap. Let's get a new analytics stack out there. We did that, and now we're really diving into this where you need it part. And the nice thing with Looker 5 that just came out a little while ago, basically where you can actually deliver that data for the clients is they expanded that quite a bit. And so if you need your CEO or say that your Marcoms team to get a scorecard after each event, you can get that scorecard and an action scheduled off of that that pushes it to their email. So again, you know, if you've done analytics dashboards and then you track how many people actually log in, it's never as many people as you want it to be. It's always the people who use it to measure how good of a job they're doing. However, everybody is always asking, hey, do you have the data from the last event? So what we're realizing is that packaging this data in a much nicer and more effortless way for the end user by scheduling, whether it's to email, whether it's with a webhook to a dashboard that they have, an alert system, the ability to push that out in the right form factor has been key for us. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into a really quick demo. Here's a dashboard that I have here. This is some network metrics, and I'm just saying, you know, how am I doing? How's my network today? And so I kind of have just, here's the total gigabytes. Here's the saved gigabytes, which is fairly significant. Peering efficiency, and then some peering by delivery type. But I actually, I have deliveries by month and gigabytes by source, and some kind of interesting metrics here. But I kind of want to know a little bit more about the users that are using the platform. And specifically, I want to know how many people are using different operating systems and browsers, so I can get a little bit more intelligence about what the makeup of the endpoints in my network are. So I'm going to really quick just jump into Explore. And so we have, and this is where it gets to you know, the breadth of data and the different data sources that we have. But we have all kinds of different tables that are going to the back end, and clients don't see this part here, but I'm going to go to the views. And so this means the views is these are endpoints in a network that have viewed data or content coming across the wire. And so I have all of these table dimensions here that are sitting in MemSQL. And let's see, I think that what I'm most interested in is the browsers that they're using to view the content. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I want to see that browser. And then I want to create the operating system as a filter. So now I have operating system as a filter, so I can kind of see what's the split for these browsers by OS. So are they Windows users? Are they Mac users? You know, who are these people? What does my network look like? And then finally, I'm going to go down to just session count. And so the session count, by having this quick count that I can do, I can see how many times each of these browsers is grabbing stuff, content over the network. So now all I have to do is hit run. And I mean, we should all say, wow, how fast was that? But that was fairly significant. Okay, so it looks like I've got some headless browsers in there. So a lot of times those are kind of what we call like dummy endpoints, which those are terminals that aren't really running one of the major OSs. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Windows from here, and then I'm going to rerun that data. Okay, so now I actually have a workable data set. And that's nice. Like, you know, I could go ahead and throw this table back into that dashboard, but I want to make it a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to go to my visualization here. And so I can see that for Windows, i.e. significant, it's there. But I kind of want to see, so I get the scale here on the left-hand side, but really like what I want the data to tell me out of this is who are the big players alone. So if all of these make up 100% of my end users and that are on Windows and what they're using to get that content, I think that this is actually a little bit more interesting. Oh man, this pastel, I want to make it a little bit more cornflower blue. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to this series. I'm going to go ahead and select this. I think that cornflower blue is a little bit more in here. Love it. Okay. So now I've got a nice little visualization. I think that this will fit nicely in my dashboard. So I'm going to do a couple things. First of all, I'm going to just save this as a look and just say sessions by OS and browser. Okay, that's good. I like it. Okay, so there we go. So now I've got that, but it's still not quite what I'm looking for in terms of how I want to end this. I want to have this in that dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and add it to, of course, the dashboard of Destiny. And so I'll hit add. And now if I go back to my space, I've got my dashboard of Destiny. And if I go ahead and scroll down, there we go. So we've got sessions by browser and OS. I want to actually adjust this a little bit. So I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to go ahead and adjust the size. And I want this up here. And let's see. I'm going to go ahead and stick this by the deliveries by month. So I'll move this over there. And really quickly, I have created a look that has sessions by OS and browser really quickly, deliveries by month. And that was added to a dashboard that I feel good about delivering back to the client. So hopefully this has been useful and helpful. I think that we're pretty thrilled about this. I think that the ability to do this in a quick manner delivers client satisfaction in a way that we hadn't seen before, and lets us be a responsive company. And in the end, lets our clients be much happier because they can make decisions with better insights in a quick way. We didn't have to hire a massive team of engineers. It lets our data scientists and our analytics people be just that. And so we feel like we've made a great choice here, and we're really excited again to kind of see how much further we can push this. But we think that this is a great way of delivering large scale data analytics to a lot of customers that need it. So I think I'm going to hand it off here, and we're going to look at Looker, and Aaron's going to walk us through their offering.
Excellent.
Yeah,
thanks,
thank you
Garrett.
so much, Garrett, for that. Sorry, Mike.
So yeah, just as a handoff here, this is Mike here. So Garrett did an awesome job showcasing the flexibility of the Looker UI and building his own looks and dashboards. So we would now want to hand it off to Erin. She's going to give us all a deeper look at the Looker product. For those that are new to the technology, it gives you a little bit of insight into more of the capabilities of Looker. So with that, Erin, why don't you take it away?
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, so first I'm just going to give an overview of what Looker is, and to do that, just what really makes Looker different when it comes to data platforms, BI visualization tools. So first, Looker is entirely in database. So what that means is Looker never moves your data into a server or elsewhere to do any of the transformation. It stays in your database like MemSQL, and we query it directly. And how that's possible is through Looker's LookML modeling layer. So Looker has a modeling language called LookML that allows you to describe data, to create any transformations that you want to do, provide table relationships, and make those definitions that you've created available to the end user. And the way that this works is that LookML is really just an abstraction of SQL. So everything that you're clicking and dropping in the application is just building a SQL query that at the end of the day gets executed to MemSQL. And then just the results are returned in the browser, and then you can visualize them however you'd like. And then lastly, Looker utilizes a modern web architecture, which makes it really easy to access from the browser on any device, and makes it really easy to collaborate and share and make that content available where you need it. So next I'll show just an overview for how Looker works with MemSQL. So first, of course, you'd consolidate all the data that you want to analyze with Looker into MemSQL. Looker connects to all databases via JDBC, and then you'd define all of those standards, all of that logic transformations that you'd want to do in that LookML modeling layer. We also have Looker blocks, which are templates for expected data sources that we've seen really common across our customers that can get you up and running quickly, because LookML is really just a text-based language, so it's easy to do any pre-modeling that way. So once you've customized that LookML, you can iterate on that and make things available as you need. It's really easy to onboard data sources because we're never moving data into Looker, it's always staying in the database. Then all of those metrics that you've created in LookML are available in a click and drop interface, which we call Explorer, which is what Garrett showed when he built that pie chart, where your technical and non-technical users can create their own reports, as well as look at created content for them in the form of dashboards and things like that, so that everyone has access to the data in that database, and they can ask and answer their own questions, really enabling self-service across an organization. So next I'll show just an overview of how you can really extend Looker. So we went over sort of the web interface, how you can use Looker for self-service exploration, visualization. You can obviously export data sets that you've created in Looker. But Looker is really a data platform. So you can take data from Looker and bring it where you need it. So the first way you can do this is by embedding Looker. So you can embed, because Looker is really a web application, it's really easy to embed via iframe in other applications, websites, portals, Salesforce, for example. If you want to bring in iframes there, it's really easy to do that. We also have single sign-on, authentication, so you can permission this as well. Next, we have pretty advanced scheduling capabilities, so you can bring data from Looker via email, webhook to file systems really easily on a schedule, or as an alert. So when certain conditions are met, you can send a report, things like that. And then finally, we have a REST API, so you can really take the results from Looker and surface them in an application however you want. If you have your own custom UI that you want to take data from Looker and skin it that way, you can do that. The API also allows you to do most of the product functionality as well. And then finally, I just have some key points about why the Looker and MemSQL integration is so powerful. So first, just reiterating that in-database architecture directly leverages the power and performance of MemSQL. This also means that data in Looker is really as real time as it is in MemSQL. We're running queries directly there, and we're just visualizing them in the browser. Next, all the data in MemSQL can be made available to end users. So there's no data aggregation required prior to using Looker. Granular data can be made accessible and interactive to all users, regardless of technical ability. And then lastly, advanced querying. So any function that's possible in the underlying database, so in MemSQL, can be leveraged by Looker's modeling layer. So this includes all the really cool things you can do with MemSQL, like geospatial and JSON functions. And you can put those in the modeling layer and make them accessible to everyone. And that's it.
Awesome, thanks, Erin. And we'll just now finish off with a quick overview of MemSQL for those that are new to the technology. So this is all about serving scalable data for your fast-growing data, whether it's media, whether it's other types of operational data. So MemSQL, we're focused on making every company a real-time enterprise. We are a top-ranked database and data warehouse, so we are essentially two engines in one. We've been recognized by Gartner in a variety of reports. We've got a number of customers that span digital natives to the traditional large enterprises that are going through digital transformation initiatives. And so here's a recent report from Gartner that highlights our analytic capabilities. This came out just a few months back. And so clearly we are in a challenger position. So we are one of the new incumbents, if you will, or new technologies available for managing your data. So what makes us different? We are a database that can manage mixed workloads for both operational and analytic requirements. So our technology is very well suited for real-time applications. So today we looked at Collective delivering sort of intraday analysis, on-the-fly analysis of live or fast-changing data. A lot of this has to do with our fast ingestion. We do not lock data as it comes into the platform, while we can also simultaneously serve queries. So that sort of mixed ingest and query capability makes us a very good fit for real-time environments. And real-time in some cases may be by hour, by day, or by second. It depends on what your scenario is. We can support petabyte scale data ingestion requirements. So we do have customers that are essentially using or leveraging our column store engine. So we can compress the data, get very nice, fast indexes on that data, and get very efficient queries on, again, large data sets. We do take advantage of memory. So that makes our platform very, very fast. So we take advantage of both disk and memory. So that's one of the unique, I think, with our name, some people think that we're just an in-memory database, but in fact, we do have a disk-based architecture as well. And we do allow customers to deploy us anywhere. So you can run in any cloud. You can be in hybrid mode or even multi-cloud if you want to span AWS and Azure. We give you that flexibility. And we do all of our performance is on standard hardware. So we do not require any sort of specialized expensive configurations or specialized appliance hardware. We are a standard industry-based platform. So just a quick synopsis, we do have data that's stored in row store format and also column store format. So this is, again, that combination of an operational database and an analytic database in one. And our ability to ingest data very quickly, but also run queries at the same time and or transform that data as it's coming in, it gives us that agility that a lot of customers that are in a sort of fast changing or dynamic environment, this is the type of database that you need to deliver those experiences. So to wrap up, we do have some time for questions, just a few. We've kind of gotten ourselves to the end here, but if you want more information, you can get that here at these resources. But with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jennifer, and she's going to go through a few questions for us.
Great. Thank you for the presentation again, Garrett, Erin, and Mike. So it looks like we're a little short on time actually for questions today. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to email us at team@memsql.com. And we'll be sure to follow up after today's session to address questions. So with that, I'm actually going to wrap this up. So again, Garrett, Aaron, and Mike, thank you guys for attending today. Thank you again for the presentation. Just a reminder, we're going to be sending a follow-up email with today's recording and slides. And if you do have any questions, again, email us at team@memsql.com. And we invite you to check out additional resources from MemSQL at memsql.com/resources or request a personalized demo at memsql.com/demo. To learn more about Looker, you can request a demo at looker.com/demo. And to learn more about Collective, check them out at collective.com. Thank you guys for participating today and have a great remainder of your day.